Welcome to episode 2 of Purchasing and Refinancing a Home in Maine webinar. I'm Jennifer Schultz of Cumberland Title. With me is Matthew McDonald, owner and attorney of Cumberland Title. And first of all, I wanted to thank you for your great comments from our first episode. We appreciate those a lot. And remind you that if there is a particular topic that you'd like to see covered in this webinar series, we would love to do that for you. So please make sure to leave your comments and suggestions in the box below or call us on the number provided. And today we're going to delve into what the title company's role is in a transaction. So what exactly is the title company's role in a real estate transaction, Matthew?
Well, we do a lot of different things, and we're going to cover that in later episodes of this. But there's one vexing, confusing thing. And it even surprised me when I got into this business 15 years ago. I was surprised when somebody finally told me this. Actually, finally, on the first day of the job, they said, oh, by the way, this. It even confused me at that point in time. And that is when I walk into a real estate transaction, and I say physically walk in, sit down, and do a real estate transaction. There's a seller in the room, there's a buyer in the room, there's real estate agents in the room, and there's a lender in the room. I'm walking in there, Jennifer, and I am an attorney at that point. I have an attorney-client relationship with somebody in that room. Now, who do you think it is, Jennifer?
Well, I will tell you, the first time I bought a home, I thought it was for me, the buyer. I was sadly mistaken.
You are sadly mistaken, yes. And when I walk into that closing room, I represent your lender. Now, that at first that sounds kind of strange because you, Jennifer, as our home buyer, as our example home buyer here, you paid my fee. You could have paid me $1,000, maybe even more dollars to perform this real estate transaction, yet as an attorney, I don't represent you.
That's right. As the buyer, I paid all the closing costs.
That's correct.
To your company.
Gotcha. Yep. And this is true for every title company, so I don't want anyone to think this is just a Cumberland Title thing.
Right.
This is true for every title company in Maine.
So why are you not representing me?
Well, think of it this way. When you went to go get a loan, you went to your mortgage broker, you went to your bank, or you went to your credit union, and you said, look, I want to buy a home, or I want to refinance. They said, great, no problem. Here's your loan application. In that loan application, it had lots of information and lots of fine print that you probably didn't take a close look at. Somewhere in there, it said, great, we're going to give you a loan. Here's an interest rate. Here's a payment. And by the way, you, home buyer, are going to hire an attorney, me, Cumberland Title, to represent us, the lender, at the transaction.
Okay, well then if you're not representing me as the buyer, do I need an attorney? Do I need representation at the closing table?
Generally speaking, no, because your lender, my client is your lender. They want me to make this a smooth transaction for you. They want me to do the paperwork correctly. They want me to handle the money properly. They want you to take title properly. I mean, what are the things you want out of the transaction? Well, you want those very same things. You want the money handled properly. You want the paperwork done. You want to take title clean and clear. So your lender and you really have an identity of interest here. You both really want the same thing out of this transaction. But technically speaking, I represent that lender. So if you ran into a situation where you felt uncomfortable about your relationship with your lender, or if you asked me for legal advice during a transaction, at that point I probably would say, hey, look, you know what? You really need your own attorney for this transaction. Now, also keep in mind, that's pretty rare. I would say 95, 98% of transactions in Maine are done without an attorney representing the buyer. Because one, hopefully you're using a title company that's legitimate and does a good job and has been around for a long time. Hopefully you're working with a great real estate agent. Hopefully you have a great lender. All of those people are looking out for you too. Chances of needing an attorney, pretty small, but it could happen.
Now, we've been talking about using a lender. Would the same rules apply if this was a cash transaction?
A cash transaction would be different. In a cash transaction, that home buyer or purchaser is contacting me directly and saying, hey Matthew, I'm going to be buying a home in cash. Well, in that case, I do represent that cash buyer, and so I would represent him in that transaction.
Interesting. Thanks for clearing that up, Matthew. Appreciate
Thank
that.
you. Yeah.
I think that pretty much covers what's the who the title company represents in a real estate transaction. Our next episode is going to cover what does a title company do. So if you have any comments on this episode, we'd love to hear them. Please leave them in the box below. Until next time, I'm Jennifer Schultz of Cumberland Title with Matthew McDonald of Cumberland Title. Thank you very much.